All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the My Tesla channel. My name is Jeremiah, and in this video, I'm going to be going over everything that was wrong with my Tesla Model 3 long range at the time of delivery and what I had to do to get those things fixed. Overall, my experience and what you should expect if you take delivery and there is stuff wrong with your vehicle. And yes, I will be discussing the big problem that I mentioned in previous videos. That problem is actually the reason that this video got delayed for as long as it did. It was a big mess, bunch of back and forth with Tesla. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But let's get into it. So I picked up my vehicle on August 24th. And once I got to the showroom, saw the vehicle, did my inspection and went through my checklist down below in case you need one, I noticed 3 things that were wrong with the vehicle. So I went inside the showroom and I brought these 3 things to Tesla's attention. And the gentleman that I spoke to said that as long as I was fine with taking the vehicle home that day, then I could just have those 3 things fixed after the fact. And all I would need to do is submit a service request via the mobile app within 24 hours with all the problems. So that's what I did. I got home and I submitted the service request ticket. It's really easy to submit service or request service within the app. You literally just click the service and then click request service, and then there'll be categories, and then of those categories there'll be subcategories, and I just did everything through one big ticket. And then once I submitted my service request, I was scheduled for it was like the beginning of September, but because of one of the problems, I actually had to have that pushed back to September 7th. But those 3 things were: first, one of the door's window seal trim was all out of whack. Second was a big scratch on one of the door's windows. And third was a bent tow hook cover. So on September 7th, the mobile tech came out to my house, which was really nice that I didn't actually have to go anywhere to get any of these problems fixed. The first thing he did was actually take off the old bent tow hook cover and put the new one on. The tow hook cover was actually why my appointment was pushed back by about a week, and that's just because they just didn't have any in stock and they had to order one in. Once he got the tow hook cover replaced, he then took a look at the window that had the scratch on it. Now, the night before, I had thought maybe it was just some like really hard residue, and I actually put some, I believe it's Stoner glass cleaner on it, and I wiped it so it wouldn't run, and it, kind of just sat there. And then that morning, when he got there, he used a chemical as well, wiped the window, and the scratch, turns out it was just hard residue. So I'm not actually going to count that as a problem. We'll just count it as like 1.5. Yes, it was residue on the car at delivery, but I'm not going to count it as a problem. And then the final thing was the window sill trim. He tried to reform it, but was unsuccessful. So he just put in an order for a new window seal, and I had to have another appointment set up to get him to come back out and swap them out. Now, I'm not going to like start ranting or anything because this isn't a gripes I have with Tesla video, but all of the window sill trims on pretty much any Tesla that you see are just really, really bad. It looks like a 6-year-old put them on or formed them. Like, it's really bad. If you own a Tesla, then more than likely you've seen how your window sill trim like doesn't sit flush with the window. It's really, really crappy. But yeah, all of my other window sill trims, they're not perfect either, but the one that I was getting replaced was really, really bad. But the appointment to get my window sill trim swapped out was set for September 21st, about 2 weeks later. So on September 21st, the same mobile technician came back out. I live in the Kentucky area, so there's like 4 mobile techs for like the whole state. So every single mobile tech appointment that I've had, it's all been serviced by the same guy. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable, cool, fun to talk to, great work, 5 stars out of 5 stars. Can't give him more compliments. Excellent at what he does. When he arrived, he swapped out the window seal, and that took like roughly like 2 to 3 minutes. And then I pointed out another issue. I didn't know at first if it was an issue or not, but it indeed was. And this is going to be problem number 3, because I'm not going to be counting the like window residue. Even though it did come like that delivery, I'm just not going to count that, because honestly, I feel like that the glass cleaner I put on there actually took it off. But yeah, problem number 3 is going to be I was missing plugs under the car. So the issue that I pointed out to him was that on the bottom of the car, essentially because there's a battery pack, the entire bottom of the car is just flat, and underneath on the passenger and the driver side, there was like these 2 black pieces of plastic. And, say you're looking at it from like, how you're looking at me, right? Pretend that you're looking at it from the back of the car going all the way up to the front, okay? And all you see is these 2 black pieces of plastic hanging down like this. All right, so they're kind of like slanted and they're hanging down. And I noticed that one day when I was looking up under the vehicle. And I mentioned it to him, and he got down, he looked at it. And when he got up, he asked me, "Did you buy this car used?" And I was like, "No, there's like not even 300 miles on the odometer, and I literally got it not even a month ago." And he stopped and then walked to his van. He went in his van and he got two black little plug clips thing, came back out, and he popped those plugs in there. Essentially, those two pieces of black plastic that were hanging down were originally being held up by temporary little glue plugs that should have been removed when the vehicle was coming off the assembly line and actually plugged with the real plugs. Well, my car didn't get that, so my car was essentially missing two parts, and it was two plugs underneath. Thankfully, he actually had the plugs with him, and it was fixed within just a matter of seconds. But that service appointment went very smooth. He was able to swap out the window seal. The new seal still isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than the seal that came with the car. And he was able to put the two plugs that my car were missing on the spot. Then, going into problem number 4, a few weeks after delivery, I noticed that my seatbelt was a little tight. The seat behind the driver's seat, the seatbelt was a little tight, but as I never used the back seat like at all, I think one person had sat in it almost like 2 weeks to like a month later, I didn't really think anything of it. That is until I had to go to Lowe's and I bought a few brooms and I had to put the back seats down to fit the brooms in the trunk. Whenever I got home and put the seats up, well, the seatbelt was completely locked and it was starting to damage the seat. So I put in a service request and was scheduled for an appointment on September 28th. On September 28th, the same mobile technician came back out and he was able to swap out, it was the retractor that had actually went bad, but he swapped out the retractor in the seat. This took about an hour and he had to take the entire seat out to actually swap out this part. But it went very smooth and now my seatbelt is just fine. So now on to the big one, problem number 5. Paint chips on the vehicle at the time of delivery. I originally noticed the paint chips like the day I got home from taking delivery, but I kind of just figured that I got super unlucky and some debris had hit the vehicle on the way home. The more and more I looked at the paint chips, just the more that they just didn't look like, you know, normal rock chips that you would get on like the highway or something. But I decided to ignore it because you really couldn't tell that they were there unless you were looking at the exact spot where they were and you were within like 4 feet. That is until I decided to pull the trigger and get PPF. Now, I decided to get PPF about a month after ownership. So around September 24th or 25th, I believe, is when I called around to different shops to get pricing. So it was like a few days before my service appointment on September 28th. When the mobile tech was done repairing the seatbelt, I showed him the paint chips and wanted to just, get his opinion on it. He said, and I quote, after he, looked at the chips, that as long as I have proof that they were on the vehicle at the time of delivery, then Tesla should fix it, but I will have to, take it into them. So I started frantically searching through all the pictures and videos that I had of my vehicle on delivery day, but couldn't find one at the, like at the perfect angle because, well, you all already have seen pictures on the screen. It's in a really weird spot and I needed, just the right angle. Plus it was like super, super bright on delivery day. So the entire car was just like a mirror and you could barely see anything. But nonetheless, I was scheduled to have the PPF applied, installed, not really too sure, about 2 weeks into December. So I think it was like around like December 14th. It was a 2-month wait, essentially. It was a really good shop with a ton of great reviews, probably like the best in my area. So the wait list was a little long. Now, fast forward to about 3 weeks before I was scheduled to have my PPF applied, and I finally found video at the right angle that showed the paint chips. Like, the video was actually really good, and the fact that you could see the car in the express pickup area at the showroom, service center, whatever. And, even though it was a super bright day, the angle was just perfect and you could see the paint chip clearly on the car. So I set up a service appointment to get it fixed with Tesla. Sounds simple enough, right? Because, I have video proof. All it's going to be is a paint touch up. I should be in and out maybe 2 weeks max to get a service appointment, get in, out same day. Not a big deal, right? You would think that it would go super smooth. No, not at all. In the service request little form that, I'd filled out for every other repair that I've done with them, I said that I had video proof of the paint chips on the vehicle in the express pickup area at the showroom at time of delivery. So they eventually got back to me within, I think it was just about a day, for more up close pictures of the actual paint chips currently and the video proof from delivery day. After multiple back and forths with the service team and them requesting that I send the video through Google Drive and, you know, Google Drive just compressing it because it was a 4K file, I eventually just sent them a mega link to the actual video, which seemed to work. And after that, within a day, the repair was approved, or so I thought. Now, this is where things start getting a little interesting, because I was originally told, whenever I first messaged into them and they first got back to me about the actual paint chips, that the vehicle would be bought in to the service center for a quick paint touch-up, which I was like, you know, hey, that's great. It's super small, or at least, you know, in relative size to, like, you know, an entire panel or something. And yeah, that's what I was originally told. But after they received pictures and the video and everything, I was then informed that the vehicle would need to be taken to a collision center to have the paint chips fixed. And when they originally told me this, the way that they worded it was like I was going to have to be the one to take it to the collision center, and it had to be a Tesla certified collision center. And then I would, you know, just forward them the bill, or the repair shop would forward them the bill. But then I was corrected by Tesla, because at first I was like, wait, why do I have to do that? This is your all's fault. But then I was corrected, and they told me that I would bring it to them, and then they would take it to the collision center on my behalf. Now, you might be thinking that that's what happened. I took it to Tesla, then they took it to a collision center, and now everything's great. But no, that's not at all what happened. Turns out that the repair was never actually approved, and instead, them talking me through this whole, you know, what I'm going to do, what are the next steps, the whole collision center, that was just them setting everything up. And nothing was actually approved yet, and the repair hadn't been signed off on, even though I thought it had, because I had to review a estimate, and the estimate was $0, and I reviewed it and I agreed to it. But turns out, nope, that was the wrong estimate, and that's not actually the repair bill. They then informed me to reach out to my senior advisor, the person that took care of my delivery, and have them input a bill. And if you watch my first two videos, then you know getting information from your senior advisor while you're taking delivery is pretty difficult. So 3 months later, well, I wasn't very hopeful. So after a week of waiting and not hearing back from my senior advisor, I eventually reached back out to the service team, informed them that I was essentially just being ghosted, and they were kind enough to give me the email to the head of sales at my pickup location. So I emailed in to the head of sales, waited a week later, and still nothing. So at this point, I was only a few days out from my PPF appointment, and I was kind of just tired of waiting for emails. So I just got the phone number to the actual sales team at the delivery location where I took delivery, and I just gave him a call. And let's just say that the phone call, well, it wasn't too pleasant. The person I spoke to, and I'm not going to be naming any names or anything like that, essentially told me that they weren't going to approve this repair because I didn't bring it to their attention on delivery day. They were kind of just insinuating that I could have done this, and I was just trying to get a free repair. I then told them that I was instructed on delivery day to just report all of my problems in the app, and they would be taken care of, and none of my problems that I had, you know, already had taken care of had been noted on delivery day, and those were fixed, no questions asked. They then told me that that's not how the procedure is supposed to work, and they asked me for the name of the person I spoke to on my delivery day when I went inside to, you know, initially ask about the problems that were on the car when I was picking it up. I then described the person that I spoke to because I didn't catch their name, and they said that they knew exactly who that was and called them out by name. But yeah, even after all that, they still were refusing to approve the repair. And they were giving me like little room to try to like talk and explain. They asked like, who was the person you spoke to? And I, you know, told them, and like, as I was still talking, they just like cut me off. I was like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. Well, I'll talk to them. It was bad until I mentioned that I had video proof of my delivery day. At that point, the phone call didn't last too much longer. They said that they would reach out to the service team to talk to them, and then they would be calling me back and giving me their email so I could email them in the video because they wanted to see it for themselves. But they did have one final question before we ended the call. And not gonna lie, the question kind of pissed me off, just like the way that they phrased it. The question was, so why did you wait 4 months after delivery to get this fixed? Like, well, for one, it's a $50,000 car and it shouldn't come with paint chips like this. And for two, it's not really your job to ask me why I want something that shouldn't be on there off or fixed. and instead your job is to kind of just help me get it repaired. I don't know, the question kind of just upset me, but I mean, I answered it. And the answer that I gave was, well, I was originally just gonna let it go, but after deciding to get PPF, well, I want to get it fixed. But that was that, and I never heard from them again, even though they said that they would be giving me a follow-up call to kind of inform me what the decision was and to get me to send them the email and all that stuff. And yeah, instead of them calling me back or, you know, emailing me or anything like that, I waited an entire week of just nothing. And then I eventually reached out to the service team, and they informed me that the repair had been approved. And they also gave me the option, shout out to the service team, great experience with them. Not so much for the other people. They actually gave me the option to take it to the collision center directly, because I'm actually closer to the collision center than I am to Tesla. So why would I drive it all the way to Tesla? Then they just drive it right on back, almost to like where I live. So yeah, they did give me that option, which was really nice. But as soon as I found that out, I reached out to the collision center, because it had to be a certified Tesla collision center, which there's only like one within, like, I swear, like 300 miles of me. And I tried to set up an appointment, but found out that their earliest appointment was in March, so like over 3 months away. And at that point, waiting 3 months, I would have a dozen more little chips and, you know, paint dings that I just didn't really feel like it was even worth it at that point, so I just canceled it. Well, technically I didn't cancel it, because when I called them to get an inquiry about it, they told me to send an email with all my information and, you know, the pictures of the damage and all that. And yeah, they never got back to me. So yeah, I guess I technically didn't cancel it. I just decided not to go through with it. Thankfully, the shop that I'm taking it to get my PPF applied works with Teslas on like a daily basis. The owners own Teslas, and they've worked with Tesla paint prior, so they're going to do what they can to fix up the paint chip. So yeah, all around my experience was good, except for the paint chip issue. Essentially, if you're having anything repaired via a mobile tech, then you're going to have a great experience. But if you actually have to take your Tesla into them, then it might not be as convenient. All around, if you have issues with your Tesla at the time of delivery, it's a pretty easy process to get those issues sorted out and fixed. But yeah, like I mentioned in my ordering a Tesla videos, make sure you take video of your vehicle on delivery day. Like, please go around the whole vehicle, take, you know, as many angles as possible, because you never know if you're going to need them or not. Also, if you want to go a step further, then go into the showroom on your delivery day and have them note things that are wrong, like right there on the spot. But with all that being said, feel free to subscribe if you're new and want to see more Tesla related content. I'd appreciate it. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and share it with a friend or a relative that you might know that might be about to take delivery, so they know what to expect if their Tesla unfortunately has issues with it at delivery. But I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.